What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through the Emirates NBA Cup quarterfinals, round one of the quarterfinals, round two tomorrow. Two-game slates, kind of a playoff. Mike, there he is. He's back. Back in the jet. He's back jet setting around the world via Emirates, our corporate overlords. Mike, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Excited for the NBA Cup, Emirates NBA Cup. Illness, hand me tags, but plenty to talk about. Really fun matchups too. Excited to talk through it a little bit today, and then for the DFS show later today.
Yeah, let's get into the injury side of things. Let's start with Orlando. No Paolo Banchero, no Gary Harris, no Franz Wagner. Jonathan Isaac listed questionable with the right hamstring strain here. What are your thoughts on his availability tonight?
Yeah, so this is a pretty bad situation for Isaac just based on the history. So we saw him have what they called cramps to his right leg. He's listed with right hamstring injury here. So a little bit related there as I pull up the box score. But it's worth noting here, this right hamstring injury for Jonathan Isaac is quite frequent. He's had it now. He had it in early November of this season. He had it in December of 2023, February of 2023, March of 2022 that required a procedure on it, and then also December 2019. So this is all right hammy stuff. This is a pretty big issue. And hamstrings, as we know, take time to recover. So feel like Isaac probably is going to miss, which is unfortunate because, I mean, they could use him here in this matchup. He would be a really, really good piece to use on Giannis. So we have him in projections for now, but man, it seems pretty bleak that he would A, play, and B, they'd have to put a limit on him. Given his history with this right hammy. So yeah, and then also, as you noted, Franz is still out. The oblique brothers, he's got a brother, a regular brother, and an oblique brother, and Paolo. And then we saw Tristan da Silva start at the 3, which they were doing a little bit here and there earlier, and they went that way again. We'll see if that changes. But Cole Anthony saw a huge minutes boost. They also had Caleb Houston come in pretty early, kind of almost ahead of Jet Howard, and Anthony Black's role really expanded. So I'd expect to see something a little bit similar. I think they would still start the same way with just Silva, who they've been counting on quite frequently. We saw him start pretty routinely when Paolo first went down. So yeah, that's where we're at. Big Suggs role likely coming as well. Had a really bad first half. I think it was 4 first half points against the Suns, and then really got going in the second half. Said after the game that he was kind of doing too much, and then got in a better groove. Huge handling role coming his way there. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. But we'll see if Isaac can play. But like I said, I think he's closer to doubtful.
Yeah, which was unfortunate because he's probably their best option to defend Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously, would be in limited minutes with Jonathan Isaac's injury history, but they do have the size to try to build that wall. With Goga Bitadze, Wendell Carter Jr., and then Tristan da Silva at the 3. I also wouldn't be surprised to see, maybe Caleb Houston's minutes, sort of like if da Silva gets into any sort of foul trouble or anything like that, maybe Caleb Houston, like another size. I think they're going to try to be out there with size as much as possible. So I think the 3 position generally for them is going to be a little bit bigger. That's always been their approach. I think it will continue to be that way in the matchup against Milwaukee. All right, let's move to the Milwaukee side of things. Giannis Antetokounmpo probable with the right patella tendinopathy. MarJon Beauchamp probable left hamstring tendinopathy. Kristen Middleton probable bilateral ankle surgery. What are your notes here on the Bucks?
Yeah, so the Middleton situation, the big question there, is he going to start? Doc said that he's going to get the exact quote. I didn't save it in my notes, but I put it in my Slack. It was something to the effect of, he's going to start eventually. Is that now? Decent chance. So I think that, we saw Middleton start routinely back then. He's still been capped. We saw him play way more than we thought in the first game and then 20 in the second game. So I would say it's probably like a flip that he would start. They seem pretty comfortable, having him in the non-Dame minutes and then obviously overlapping as well. But has looked, pretty good overall with his passing and playmaking, and the slow tempo, I think, works with the way the Magic could slow things down there. So Taurean Prince has run really bad the last couple games. The illness cut him down 2 games ago when Middleton came back, and then he had 2 early fouls to kind of take him out of a rhythm. Also was somewhat ill. So it's curious to see who fits. Andre Jackson was pretty good in this last game. Was the quote-unquote defensive player of the game. Doc Rivers says they don't do that. We know the Kings, the Raptors, the Nuggets, among others, have a defensive player of the game, or the lockdown king for the Raptors side. So yeah, I think they would start Middleton over Andre, but it could be Prince. I'm not confident in that. And then, Brook Lopez's minutes were really, really cut down over the weekend as Bobby Portis kind of had it going. That's kind of been squeezed a little bit. So we're seeing Brook, who should play a good bit for the matchup. You need to be good on the board. You need to protect the paint against the Magic. Magic are a really, really rim-heavy team with the way they like to score. They're a terrible three-point shooting team. As a side note, we saw the Knicks play deep drop in the big game to win the group. I think the Bucks might steal a little bit of that. We'll talk more about what that means from Magic's perspective later, or we could do it now. But we'll save that for the paywall gang. But yeah, other than that, this is going to be the rotation. I feel pretty good about that. It's just A, is Middleton going to start? B, can you play more minutes? C, what the hell's up with Taurean Prince? Can he kind of get some momentum back? And that will affect Gary Trent, AJ Green, and then if Bobby Portis overlap with Brook.
Yeah, I'm not sure if your mic switched to the AirPods or if it's just like internet related, but you got a little bit choppy there for a second. Agreed with you that we'll see Middleton at some point. I don't think it's going to happen in the Emirates NBA Cup because of the potential opponents here. So Andre Jackson Jr., like at this point, from a defensive standpoint, the biggest point of attack that you need to worry about with Orlando is Jalen Suggs. And I just think keeping Andre Jackson Jr. out there to deal with Jalen Suggs. Now, maybe Middleton pops in over Prince. That's certainly viable on that front. But then if they win the next game, right, the winner is either Trae Young or Jalen Brunson in terms of the semis. And I think Andre Jackson Jr.'s defense is just going to be needed in these situations. I don't think you want to put Damian Lillard in those spots. So, I think we'll continue to see Andre Jackson Jr. start for a little bit, but agree that like long term, I think he's the bigger answer. The question mark is like, defensively, Taurean Prince is good for like big wings, but not really great for smaller guards. And then like, you don't really want Dame on the smaller guards, and you don't really want Middleton doing that. So like, it gets a little bit screwy here. So I kind of think long term it might be coming for Taurean Prince, and Andre Jackson just becomes like a defensive guard option. And then against really big teams, Taurean Prince is fine to have out there as the defensive big wing guy. But it'll be interesting to see on that front. And then you noted the overlap with Portis and Lopez. There's certainly a matchup that Orlando's going to play bigger. So it's very comfortable for Milwaukee to lean into that overlap a little bit more. That's what we saw all last season. I think it's interesting that it's coming back a little bit of late with Chris Middleton back, just because you would think there would be enough offense for them not to worry about that and prioritize defense. But yeah, Portis was great in this one. Not sure if just his great play is what earned the overlap more, but against a bigger front court in Orlando, I wouldn't be surprised to see that overlap continue to grow for Portis and Lopez from what we had seen earlier in the season when it seemed to fall out of favor for the last 2 weeks.
The two more things to add really quick. I wouldn't be totally shocked if we get like wholesale changes where like Gary Trent and Middleton come in and Prince and Andre Jackson go out.
That's true.
So that's something as well. And then, we talked about the rim offense from Orlando. Their rim defense has been incredibly good. So tough matchup for Giannis. Goga Bitadze has been just unbelievable the last month or so. He's been just crushing. Shout out to Chris Sleet. That's his guy. He didn't do the My Guy draft, but we're giving him Goga.
All right, let's go to Dallas and Oklahoma City, the other game on the slate. Dallas side of things, we've got questionable tags for illness due to Najee Marshall and PJ Washington. Illness is also the culprit with Maxi Kleber's out tag. Jaden Hardy and Dante Exum also out here. What are your notes on the potential availability through these illness tags for Najee Marshall and PJ Washington?
Yeah, so let's talk about Najee first. So he was out. He's been out for a bit. He had mentioned like back in the Denver game that was like almost 3 weeks ago that the illness was bothering him. Played through it for a bit, and then the Utah game in elevation also caught up to him, and he's been out since. So he's been out for a long time. Let me get the exact dates on that. He's been out since the 30th, and then again he was sick going into this, so he's been dealing with this for like 2 weeks here. I think he's back. I think he's going to be back, but maybe he's limited. He is questionable, so there's a chance he's going to be limited out there. And then lastly, PJ's new injury here, right? We didn't see him get listed before. Now he's got the Q tag. Jason Kidd said he's going to be questionable. I mean, if he has what Najee has, that's not good, given how he's been out for so long. So don't have a great read on PJ Washington there. Obviously, if Najee's in, he would, in my opinion, quite confidently be starting, unless he's really capped. I think they just need him because they're going to need an on-ball defender there. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Should have been better putting on the box scores. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have illness tags are really tough to read, but I feel pretty good about Najee being back.
Yeah. And then if they're down Najee and PJ in some way, shape, or form, that's a lot of stress on kind of point of attack defense, which has been kind of their main thing. So I would think that Quentin Grimes would be the one elevated in those circumstances. But you were mentioning the idea that maybe both start. You think Clay could go back to the bench in that scenario, or
No.
Okay.
I think Clay's starting. I'm just saying one of them is going to start.
Oh, okay. I got you.
If PJ starts, he's going to start. He's going to be there. And then Najee,
Okay.
like the question is is Najee well enough to start and play? He would play.
Right.
If PJ's not playing, they would want him to play 30 plus minutes here. Can he do that? He's been out. We talked about this a lot. When guys are missing weeks at a time, it could take a little bit to get conditioning back. So there's a world where Najee can't get to 27, 28 minutes.
So you would say if PJ Washington is ruled out, if Najee Marshall is ruled in but not starting, that's probably an indication that there's some concerns on conditioning from a minutes perspective.
Yep, definitely. Because if Najee's not starting, that's a screaming tell that because who else would you whoever you're going to start?
It would have to be Grimes.
They would want to start Grimes, but
it would have to be Grimes.
Yeah, so they can go small there, but that would be quite clear to me that they don't feel good about his condition because he's been starting pretty much every PJ game that's been out, every Clay that's been out. Then he's been available, of course. So that would be a pretty big tell. Okay,
Oklahoma City side of things, they have out tags for Jalen Williams, the big who has not played this season, Nikola Topic, Dylan Jones, Chet Holmgren, Adam Flagler, Usman Jang, and then a probable tag for Brandon Carlson, a G Leaguer who is now kind of replacing the Dylan Jones role of fringe, occasionally pops into a rotation. What are your notes here on the Thunder, who are mostly healthy tonight?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They're going to play Hartenstein a pretty good bit. We'll see how small they go. There's talk about playing almost extra small. And that's no surprise. Alex Caruso has been subbing as a center. On the flip side of that too, if they have PJ and Najee on the other side, how much small ball do we get? Because we know for sure we're going to get 15 minutes, I would say, unless Hartenstein just plays a ton of a small ball lineup with J-Dub at the 5. So should be pretty tight. We've seen SGA get approach 40 in really tight games. I would expect him to play a bunch. Not too much to add. We'll see if AJ Mitchell gets squeezed a little bit as Caruso, who 24 for Caruso, in the last game, pretty big number for him. So he looks to be getting healthier to cut down Isaiah Joe and Wiggins a good bit. Casey Wallace's minutes have held up with the squeeze of Alex Caruso for what it's worth.
Yeah, and the Lou Dort shooting concerns seem to be behind him. He shot the ball well in this last game against the Pelicans, been dealing with a finger issue. My last question for you on the Thunder before we get out of here. Mark Dagnall has consistently kind of talked down the importance of the Emirates NBA Cup in terms of point differential, different things. They had a situation in their last game in group stage where they theoretically had the incentive to run it up, and they didn't run guys down to the wire in that one. Do you think once we're into the bracket stage that Mark Dagnall starts to treat this more like a playoff environment, or do you think this is going to be regular season minutes from the Thunder and it's kind of the same old for the Thunder?
No, I do feel pretty good. They're going to push him up. To your point there, Dagnall talked about that. He thinks that the point differential thing, shouldn't matter. Either just win the way you got to win, and then let the chips fall where they may, kind of a thing. So, and as you noted, they did pull guys pretty quick relative to other teams. So yeah, I feel like if this game's close and there's no fouls or injury or anything, I think SGA could get to 40. I think J-Dub could get to 36, 37. Could be just pretty tight where, they play Alex Caruso 26 minutes and that cuts down AJ Mitchell's, Isaiah Joe's, Aaron Wiggins a little bit. So yeah, I feel pretty good. This will be a playoff-ish rotation and that goes for every team we're talking about today and tomorrow, right? We feel pretty good that based on what we saw last year, we're going to see some 40s, more 36, 37s on these players.
And agreed, and I feel more confident on that. The only team that I didn't was Oklahoma City, just because Dagnall has consistently kind of talked down the importance of this. And obviously, some of these teams that have bigger picture goals in terms of the real playoffs, the real NBA championship, I could see. But, I'm interested to see, obviously the players, they get closer and closer to Vegas, 500Ks. nothing to sniff at. So I'm interested to see. This is one from a rotation standpoint I'll be tuning into tonight. And a nice little rematch, right? You would think that the players also and the coaching staff also, the team that eliminated them last year, that this is an opportunity. So I would think all systems go in terms of more of a playoff type rotation environment, but had to ask the question given Dagnall's history here.
If PJ can't go, are you just racing to bet OKC? I was like, as we said, I mean, they've got A, PJ killed them last year, and B, like, I mean, we're throwing Grimes a lot of minutes. We're giving minutes to Omax Prosper. We're giving minutes. We have like a freaking Dwight Powell overlap minute, which just because we were trying to find minutes here. So, I would say Washington like moves the line a lot, but like the replacement value is like really low.
And I would say too that this is an unusual injury report depth chart situation where it doesn't look super damaging from a team's perspective, but you start adding up the losses of Dante Exum, Maxi Kleber, maybe Najee Marshall, maybe PJ Washington. That's a lot of the on-ball defense bucket that Dallas has on their roster to be able to handle Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And that's a lot. So I definitely think PJ and Najee's availability should be probably more impactful than you would normally think because of the matchup, but also because of the rest of the injury report. I mean, Maxi Kleber is a meaningful loss for this matchup as well.
And then, as you said, Najee's probably going to be limited because he's been out for so long.
Yep. All right. That will do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, if you're interested in supporting our free work here, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can check out the podcasts that come out with the video stream as well and get notifications by hitting that bell whenever we post new content. You can also check out our premium content, establishedrun.com/subscribe-MBA. We're really proud of the work that we're putting out on the projection side for the DFS and the player props package. Highly encourage, if you're interested in the player props package, to please read the FAQ. It is exceptionally challenging to get bets in this environment. The environment is tightening and getting tighter and tighter. We continue to deliver winning bets, but this is why we make it a weekly sub, because we know it can be very difficult for some people and it's not for everybody. So please read the FAQ if you are interested in joining the props package. On the free side of things, if you want to help support our content, the best way to do so is to feed that algorithm by smashing that like button. That helps feed our families and allows us to feed you the NBA injury information analysis you need each and every day to set your season-long lineups, your DFS lineups, and make your spread bets and your prop bets. So smash that like button, feed that algorithm. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you tomorrow.